Welcome back to segment 2 of Suzanne's Craft. In this segment, I thought I'd show you a basic bag technique, a tote bag. It's always great to have a tote bag. They're great to make because you don't have to worry about any complicated zips or anything. Just 2 basic squares of fabric, but I'll show you a very easy way in which to create a base, a wide base for your bag. So it means when you put books and groceries and things in it, they can sit nice and flat and easily. Okay, so let's get started. Now, as I said, the tote is constructed of just 2 basic squares. The fabric I've utilised for this one is a tapestry furnishing fabric. It'll give it a lot of longevity and also durability. Now, what we need to do is do our side seams and our base seam. So what I'm going to do is put the 2 right sides together. Oops, flip it over. We've got our 2 right sides together. I'm just going to put a couple of pins in just to hold it in place while we sew. Now the seam allowance for this, it'll be a little bit more than what we're used to with patchwork. So I might do about 1/2 inch. As you might recall, patchwork seams are 1/4 inch. Now I'm just going to sew down these 2 sides and then I'll sew along the base. The thread I've got is just a polyester thread and I've just got a normal size needle on my sewing machine. So we'll get started and we'll just do our 2 side seams. And the beauty of this design is that you can actually make it any size you want to. You can see I've got a smaller bag there, a smaller one here. So, and also it's very accommodating then to the types of fabrics you've got in your stash. Now we're just going to sew down here. Just take us a second. You might like to consider when you're sewing to reinforce the seams, you might like to sew twice down the side. So here we go, almost to the end of this one. And tote bags are also a very easy present to make. As patchworkers, we're always thinking of presents to give to people and what we can make. So here we go. Just down the other side as well. Haven't put as many pins in this, so the fabric's tending to move a bit. And what's happened is our bobbin's just run out, so we'll just quickly rewind our bobbin. So we'll just pop some matching thread on. We'll only take a minute to wind this. And as you know, when you're winding your bobbin, always do it slowly, because if you wind your thread on very quickly, it's going to stretch the thread, which means over time you're not going to get the longevity out of your thread. So we're just going to very slowly wind it on to our bobbin. That should give us enough to finish the project. And we're just going to pop it back in the bobbin case, thread it through and just pop it into our machine. We'll just thread up our machine. As I mentioned before in our previous episode, when you're threading up your machine, you need to keep your foot up so that you can actually pull your thread through. The clamps aren't restricting it as you thread your machine. I'm just going to take a minute to thread it. There we go. Just go down here. Right, we've just come to the end. We don't need to secure. So we'll just check and see what seams we have got done. We've done our side, done our bottom, and we've just got our other side one to go. And then we've got our basic construction done. And it's a good idea with this weight of fabric to actually have good wide seam allowances. So just about finished. And there we go. As you can see, we've sewn up a square, sewn up the 3 sides. Now what we're going to do is I'd like to replicate the width of that base. So what I'm going to do is just measure half of it. So it's 2 inches. So what I'm going to do is cut a 2-inch square in here. I'll get my ruler, line it up against the edge with my lead pencil, just mark along here, and then I'm going to cut out the square. Now this is at the base, we've got our sewn seam along here. We're just going to cut along here. And we'll do the same to the other side. 2 inches. And that should give us a base of 4 inches wide. And there's a really handy little technique for sewing these 2 together. You're probably thinking, how on earth are we going to sew these? But it's really simple. What we do is then open it up and we meet the edges together. Open up the seam allowances as well, so we have nice and flat. I'm just going to pop a couple of pins in. And I'd probably do about a 1/4 inch seam on this, and I would probably sew it a couple of times to give the seam extra strength. So what we're going to do is just sew along. I'll secure off my end by going backwards on the machine. Then I'm going to come forward, finish off my seam. And we'll just go backwards again. Comes forward, we've sealed off our seam. And if we turn it to the right side, we can see that we've created the base for the bag. So you can see it's a very easy technique, and for further information on completing the bag and doing the lining, do refer to our blog.